G'day hobbyists, I just want to make a quick video talking about weathering vehicles, and it's been ages since I've made a video, but I don't want to talk about that. Um, Recently I decided to touch up one of my Forge Father vehicles. Now, like a lot of hobbyists, I painted it, and then I said it was done, and I left it looking like the tank had just come from the showroom. And the problem with that was it looked like a shiny, clean Transformers kid toy, especially with the sort of colour scheme I'd gone with, and not the grittier, more realistic look that I sort of prefer. So I decided to have a crack at weathering it. Now, that adds a bit of realism to your models, makes them look a lot nicer, more detailed, and it's a very simple technique. So I'm going to put up the before and after photos so you can see that, and I'll give you a look at it right now. So as you can see, that's my Forge Father tank with a few Forge Father for scale. Just get them out of there. So I added some dirt on the tracks and the front. Some chips and scores, a few dents and bullet holes, bit of engine soot, oil grease, that sort of thing. Now, all that just makes it look a lot less like a toy and more like a real lived-in vehicle. And these techniques are all very simple. Just for the wet dirt, Rhinox hide, Steel Legion drab, and the Army Painter dry brush. Just dry brush it on, stipple it as desired until you get that sort of look. And yeah, I go to the trouble of painting the underside of my vehicles, so not everyone does that. Then there's the engine soot. I just use a bit of black paint, water it down a little bit, and use the Army Painter Wargamer Monster brush. That's a pretty convenient one, large brush. You can use small brushes as well. A bit of watering down, a bit of streaking and dragging it out, stipling, and you get that sort of look. Then for the bullet holes, that's a little trickier. Bit of Shining Silver, Warhammer Regiment brush, Wargamer Regiment brush by the Army Painter. That just means you've got to be a little more careful for doing the bullet holes, picking out the little bits of silver, and then streaking out the black around it. So it looks like there's been some sort of impact, made a crater in the metal, and then a bit of the heat and friction, whatever, caused the blackening of the paint around it. And I did a few bullet holes here and there, like they're glancing off or pinging off the front. Some big, some small. Some bits are just chips in the metalwork. Now, chips and cracks, you don't need to blacken around it unless you want to, so I left that just a bit clean, a bit dirty. And you should look at real photos of vehicles, because some of these vehicles in the field end up really dirty, and some of them have a lot of bullet holes. So it wasn't like I went too far with the bullet holes. I was sort of being a bit conservative with the bullet holes because it's a bit of effort. It's a bit of effort to paint them when you just sort of try and do it quickly. But in reality, vehicles can have lots and lots of bullet holes, from small caliber to heat rounds, anti-tank rounds, that sort of thing. Especially destroyed vehicles can have loads before they're destroyed. So that was what I was doing, and I reckon it makes it fit in a lot better with the grittier and realistic style that I was going in with these Forge Father. And it's never really too late to touch up your old models. I had some Lizardman Cavalry, and if you ever had those models, the bases for them had a lot of textured grass and dirt around the feet of the Saurus, and I just left that sort of dark green with the dry brush green. I left the grass as it was. And then later I was very unhappy with how it looked, because the dirt and the grass was all just dark green and the sculpting wasn't very good. So I bit the bullet, tried to pick and tear off all the paint and grass I'd already put on, go over it with darker browns and Steel Legion drab, and then go over it with some more dry brushing, and then put a lot of static grass covering up the plastic sculptor grass, because the plastic sculptor grass just did not look good, and it looked a lot better when I just made it look like really big bushy grass plants. using heapostatic grass. So even a miniature that you're not happy with anymore and your skills might have come along a fair bit, you can still touch it up, make it look a lot better. And that was what I was doing with my Forge Father vehicles recently. And I was pretty happy with the results. So I hope that was helpful and get to use some of those simple techniques on your own minis.